story. Black Asian mixed up Caucasian.
Fire. Back up, back up. Back up for the baseline, you know.
Good evening, everybody. It's your man Kearse-Stockton. This is iHipHopTV Conversations. That's what we do. We have conversations about very important topics, throughout, mainly concerning hip hop world. But I feel that tonight's guest and what she brings to the table and some books are just as much a part of hip hop as anything, because it's about lifestyles. It's about life. It's about bringing people together and making everything go, and that's the important part of tonight's guest. And I also going to touch up on a quick part of this. And I'd like to give a shout out to Aladdin 19. I'd like to give a shout out to Joey Holloman and everybody in the iHipHopTV world, Big Wall, Dress the Culture Gang. So let's make it happen, and that's what we do. But tonight's show is going to be about 480 Codorus Street. It's the first of three, and it is an autobiography of the trials and tribulations of a young Negro girl who grew up in York, PA in the 50s and 60s, which is very, very trying subject, and it's a very important subject because it applies to the day as well. And tonight we have Sandra Kearse-Stockton in the house on iHipHopTV Conversations. And that's what we like to do, bring these important subjects in. There's 3 books. They're very good. I recommend you go out and get them. And she's going to let you know where you can get them. And we'll flash it on the bottom of the screen during the show so you know where to pick these very important books up. So I'm going to get started on this, Sandra. I'm going to say, how long did it take you to write the 480 Codorus Street trilogy, and how many hours a day did you write?
Well, I wrote it over a period of probably 2 years, but it took maybe 3 years to get everything really going in the trilogy. Hours to write, it just depends. Most of the time, I was comfortable writing at night because I could just focus on just the book, writing, and me in my office and have any interruptions. Sometimes I'd write to wee hours in the morning just writing. And other times I'd come in to write maybe in the afternoon or morning because I just felt something I wanted to put in there. And I'd get writer's block and I just couldn't move. I didn't know what to do. I'd be just stuck. And then it just depends on what mood I was in when I was writing. The first book was harder because I'd never written a book, and getting it started and making it all make sense. I had a coach with the first book for a year. She worked with me. And that's pretty much how I got it started. So I spent a lot of time, trial and error, many hours.
Wow. And what type of research did you create your books under?
Well, a lot of people always ask me what kind of research. Here's the thing. I didn't have to do much research because the books are about my life story and I lived it. So the research is inside of me. I did have to reach out to my older sister for a lot of information I wasn't clear on because she remembered things that I didn't remember that happened in our lives. So I reached out to her and she helped me a lot. And then I have an aunt that's still living, 2 aunts really. And I went to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania from Maryland and talked to my mother's sister. And she gave me a lot of information about my mom and my family I didn't have knowledge base of. And then I did Ancestry.com, looked up a lot of stuff, tried to find information about my mom, my dad, etc. So that was the research that I did, but pretty much everything came from me, inside of me. But then I
okay,
we
had a freeze right there. We had a freeze right there, Sandra. Could you repeat that type of research? We're on that question. So
okay, the research is pretty much inside me. It's my life, so I didn't have to look too far for research. But I have an older sister that I went to who helped me a lot with details that I couldn't remember as a little girl. And I went to my aunt who lives in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I drove from Maryland, spent a couple of days with her, and got a lot of information. And I also checked out Ancestry.com. So I got a lot of information like that to put the pieces together.
Wow, wow, that's really, really big, and doing that. And are the names in your books the real names of the people included?
Yes, they're my siblings. All the names are real names, and all the people and my friends are the real names. I had to get permission from those friends to put their names in my book, and they all gave it to me. I had one younger sister who would not sign to be in my book, so the part I talk about her in here is some people are real people, not made up.
Okay, okay. So, okay, so what we're going to do right now is take a short break. And we're back. Hey, this is your host, P. Stock. We have Sandra L. Kearse-Stockton, on their author, and the creator of some very important books, I think, in the family complex today with people. So on this question, we covered about the characters being real siblings. Does your family support your writing career?
Well, now, in the very beginning, I had some sisters who weren't very happy about me talking about our lives. But I told them that part of their life is my life. Part of their story is my story. So some of it I had to use. And I told them I would be fair and truthful, and I was. So I think all of the siblings kind of got over that, and we went on. So my family on the outside, children, cousins, friends, they all support me. I think I have good support systems. Yes. Because the bottom line, if you're fair and truthful, nobody can go against that. It's truth.
Right, right. And that's very important too, a part of this,
Yeah.
And what were your most complex stories to write about?
I think my most complex stories to write about was, I'm trying not to have no tears on this one, but is talking about my abusive father to my mother. That was super hard, super hard. There was so much domestic violence in our home as little kids, so that was very hard. It was hard to talk about my mother and sister dying in a tragic house fire when I was stationed in Korea in the military.
Mm.
In Maryland. So those were the very, very hardest stories to crank out and get out. But I felt that it was necessary because we all go through trials and tribulations. And as long as we live, they're going to come in our path. And we have to deal with them, accept them, and move on. Not forget them, accept them, and figure out how we're going to live with them to keep our life going, because there's other people in the family. I have other children who needed me. I couldn't just cave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's very important too. When you're writing subjects about family and stuff, there's always family that will not agree with what you're writing about because they consider it personal, and they want to make sure it remains personal. But it's just as much your business as theirs as well to get that out. And
I think it's generational curses is bad. At some point, somebody needs to let that story out. Everybody knows the truth, and then we all live on, get through it, make up, be friends, and keep on going, keep on moving.
Yep. And I think that's the most important. I think, okay, we got to free. I think most families can use that, like going to therapy. You can sit down amongst your siblings and self and talk about it. That's just as much therapy as going to speak with a therapist or anything, because you can get resolutions out of those conversations you have with your family. Or it might be a part that your family did not understand what was happening and or what you was really going through, and it takes that time for you to bring it out and let them understand. That's what I was going through.
It was important because I have sons and I have a lot of nephews, and one of my nephews said, "Oh my God, I didn't know Granddad was like that. I would hate him." I said, "That's why you didn't hear the story until he was dead. I didn't want anybody to hate him because
Right.
my mom said that he lived the best life he knew how. And maybe that's all he knew, but we didn't know.
Right.
And my mom eventually forgave him. I never forgave him the day he went into that grave, and I still carry that. And I think I forgive him now. But every time I think something back, a backstory, I'll start hating him again.
Right. I understand that. I
I
understand.
mean, I know he's not here. I try really hard to not deal with that, but it happens. It's life.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you had mentioned earlier about writer's block. Do you believe in writer's block?
Yeah, sure, because your brain just freezes. And especially when you're working hours and hours, you're under pressure, and you just can't think. And all of a sudden, oh, what was I thinking? What was I going to put there? And you're just like, I just can't do it. One day, I was so upset. I was like all teary-eyed, and my baby girl, Carmen Trina, came and said, "Mom, go take a break. It'll come back tomorrow." And actually, I think that time I didn't write for like maybe a week. I just couldn't come in my office and start doing it. And I just perked up and said, "Let me get going." Came back to it. Yeah.
That's very important. That's very important. That writer's block is real.
It is real.
People, I want you to understand, this is
Don't
coming
give up. Yeah.
This is coming from a professional writer and a writer that has a background in medicine and medical. So, so everything that she's bringing to the table is from her experience and true to a lot of people what's going on.
Yeah.
And on that note, Sandra, we're going to take another short break. We're going to go out and say what's up with our sponsors, pay some bills, and then we'll be right back in. No worries, no worries. Hey, and we're back. This is your host, P. Stock. This is iHipHopTV Conversations. And we have author Sandra Kearse-Stockton on board tonight. And she's an author of some very, very complex stories involving her life. It's hard for people to get this type of information out, especially to the public, with dealing with so many things that went on at that time in her life. Did you self-publish or go professional with this book?
Self-published, because I guess to go professional, somebody has to have a lot of money to do that. So self-published is the least expensive way to go to get started. Yeah.
And I feel a lot of people are going self-published because it's like the playing field has been leveled, where you don't have to go to these high price publishing houses, and you can publish yourself using things like Amazon and Netflix and other types of venues. So shout out to you for doing it on your own. That's very big and that's very hard. And I'm happy that you're able to get that accomplished. And how important are book reviews for you?
I mean, they're very important. I think the thing that somebody told me one time, when you write a book, when you sell that book to all of your friends, and their friends, not just from your family and friends, because somebody could think they're not really legitimate because they're your friends. So it's very important to get reviews out there in the wide world out there, so they're actually really real. So I have quite a few on most of my books, But marketing is the thing, and marketing is very, very expensive. And I find that for new writers or new authors getting out there, that you get taken for a ride because everybody comes to you with a plan, but you don't know who's just trying to get you or who's really legitimate. And it's thousands of dollars that I've spent trying to figure things out. But now after 5 years, a little more, I think I got it going on. I know what I'm doing. I could actually teach somebody and not charge them thousands of dollars like I was charged.
Right. Well, see, and that's a part of what iHipHop like to do. We like to bring these type of projects to life and put them in other markets that may not it might not reach through marketing, or people
Right.
that you never really thought, maybe they'd have interest or not with that. So,
Exactly.
so that's what we like to do: bring them out there, create a marketing buzz, a little thing that you can run with, and upload and promote on your YouTubes, on your
Right.
Facebooks, on your Twitters, so it gets
Right.
more people concerned and out. So shout out to you
Right.
again for doing it on yourself,
Absolutely.
because that's a very, very big step to make that
Yeah.
happen. A very big step. Okay, so another thing we want to talk about is, we talked about the self publishing and being professional. How important are book reviews to you? Do you take the reviews of books?
They're very important to me. Like I just said, they're very good. And I think that sometimes people say something you don't really like. I got some reviews came in and gave me like a 3 out of 5 because they didn't like this or they didn't like that. And like one reviewer said the story was good, but only if you lived in Pennsylvania. I said, well, that was that person's personal opinion. So my story could be any woman's story around the world. There are many
Yes,
women who have been abused. There are many children who live in
yes,
abusive
yes,
families. There are many people, women are out there being abused and beaten now. There are men out there being abused and beaten by women. That stuff didn't stop. That's been around for a long time. It's going nowhere. So it doesn't matter who I am, woman, man, black, white, Hispanic, Jewish, whatever. All women go through things, and many men go through things. They just don't talk about it. So yes,
yes,
my book is relevant to anybody who falls in that
yes.
category. If you've been through it, I've been through it too. Read my books and go through it with me. Be strong.
Yep, that's very important, and the reviews, like you said, you take out the bitter with the sweet.
Absolutely.
You got to understand. So that maybe help you reach out to a person that don't understand what you're going through. Like somebody say that's only in your state. No, it happens in every state.
Happens everywhere.
You know that you lived in multiple states. You
Absolutely.
know, I've lived in multiple states. So we know you've been to other countries. So you see it in
Yeah,
other countries. So
absolutely.
it's a worldwide issue.
It
With
absolutely
people.
is.
And that's big that you're able to come out and make that happen. Uh,
I
what
have many women
advice?
reach out to me.
Well,
Yeah, I
see,
have many women reach out to me about their story. Many women reach out to me
that's
about
important
what they
because that puts you in the seat of the person trying to break it down to somebody and help them along in that method and their level that they went through in their lives.
right.
So, and
Right.
that's very big. Again, shout out to you from taking that, because that's a hard thing to do,
Yeah, it
to get
is.
into somebody else's feelings when you have your own and your own experience and everything else. So
And
it
especially if they've been through twice as much as I've been through that I couldn't imagine. I thought I went through some stuff. I hear some of these women's stories like, Jesus,
right.
I thought I've been through something. Some people out there have been through some stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And then that's something that will make you think and take care of that. Like you said, you've been through some stuff and people been through worse. So
Yeah,
there's probably somebody that's been through something and similar or even worse than you and these particular people have run into. So that is very
absolutely.
important. That is very important. And
Yeah.
what advice would you give a new author, a new writer, somebody that's trying to put something out there?
First of all, let me say to everybody out there, everybody who has lived any amount of years has a book or two inside of them. You are already an author. I'll tell you all the time, you are all of us. Everybody is a teacher. If you learn something, you teach somebody. You're a teacher when you're a parent, you teach your kids. You're a teacher when you're a dog. You're a teacher when you're in class sharing information. You learn something, you teach something. So I would tell everybody starting out here, don't get taken for granted. Don't let people try to charge you a whole lot of money to help you get started, because everybody has to eat. So just keep it fair. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody's not out there for you. They're out there for yourself. So I'll tell people I have a email address on my website. If you get stuck with a question, you need to know an answer to it, email me through my website. I'll be more than happy to discuss it with you for free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everybody out there is not going to give you information for free. But I don't have a problem sharing that information. If it helps you to get started, then I'm happy. You use my name and say, she helped me get started. I'm happy with that. So anytime you
Mm-hmm.
want to reach out to me, you have an author question when you're getting started, I'm here for you. No problem.
Yeah, and that again, that's very big. You know that you're willing to go that extra mile to help a new author get established and get set up and to get things going because all that, in my opinion, that's going to help that person basically help you in accomplishing what you're doing too.
And
Um,
help them help someone else. We're all
yes,
teams.
and help someone else. Yep, to go into
Yes,
that's big. That's really big.
I believe
And
it.
if you were not an author, what would you be? You know, what would you be doing if
What
you
would I
wasn't an author?
think? Well, I have so many titles. A daughter, a mother, a wife, a grandmother, a great grandmother. I would be all those things still. I just wouldn't have that author tagged on there. So many
Yeah,
things. I would still just be me and happy. Happy. I'm happy. The only thing I can work for in this life as I'm in my 70s is being happier. Is that possible? Yes, I think it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, and and by you saying you're in your 70s, you don't look it. Your husband don't look it. You know, and that's very big. You know, so a big shout out to y'all
Thank
for
you.
keeping yourselves young and going on because it's very important. You've raised your children, and you're in the process of helping your daughters and granddaughters raise their
Yeah,
women and their boys up into the next life, and that's also very hard to do. You know, especially with
it is.
today's generation. You know,
Yeah.
with today's
Because
generation.
because the Gen Zs, the Gen X, they all know more than us. They know more than us.
Yeah,
Will
you
do.
know, they know more as far as the you know the new way of information computer age and
Like
doing
social
stuff.
media.
You know, the
But they
computer
teach me
age,
a lot. My grands teach me. Yeah.
and that's good. So what that do while you teaching them, they're teaching you. You
They
can
teaching me because I
apply
don't.
you can
Yeah.
apply everything that you've learned and you've done right
Hmm.
to the generation today, you know, to your
Yeah.
sons, daughters, and everything else, especially with the children with raising kids, because you just raised some children, so
Yes.
and brought up families. So I know that's very important. That is very
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah.
And another question that you know you talk about if you wasn't an author, you'd be all of those things, but you had a profession before you along while you was being
Yeah.
a mother, a
Army nurse.
daughter, and a granddaughter. Yeah, see, you was a
Army.
nurse and in medical, so that's a very, very important position in our community today. We need more uh, African American, Negro, you know, people of brown and dark complexions to get into those fields, you know, and to succeed in those fields to help the next generations coming up. You know, I really believe that,
Yeah. I
and
thought I
you've
was
done
meant.
that.
Yeah, I thought I was meant to be a nurse. My mom, back in the day, she couldn't drive. She didn't have a car. When we got hurt in our house, my mom fixed it. You got your fingers broken, hands cut in half. My mom figured out how to fix that stuff. We didn't go to the hospital very often. Had to be very
Hmm.
serious. And then when I was in high school in Baltimore, my godmother, Bernice Owens, she was a
Hmm.
nurse, and I used to watch her go out to work. Come, we sit down and have conversations about nursing. And one day I was just talking to her, and I said, you know, I want to be a nurse. And she teased me because I used to be afraid of needles. She said, but you're afraid of needles. And I'm like, but I ain't got to be getting stuck. I'm going to be sticking people. So about that all the time. So I knew I wanted to be a nurse from way back. Knew I wanted to take care of people, but being a nurse, my godmother taught me that. She was my influence to do that.
Hmm.
She was my influence to make it through high school and go to college. Because at one point, I went to school in Baltimore in high school, and I
Hmm.
took business ed, and I was seeing a guidance counselor, and this is in my book. And I told her I wanted to go to college, and the guidance counselor, and she was Afro-American. She said, you can't go to college because you didn't take college prep, you took business. I never get crying on the way home in that bus and tell my godmother Bernice about that. And she said, oh, don't listen to that. You can be anything you want to be, and you can go to college. I did go to college, and then a few degrees along the way. So you can't listen, even with teachers and guidance counselors tell you sometimes. They might not be for you. You got to figure that out. Listen to other people's advice. That's in
Hmm.
your.
And that's very big because you talk about living in Baltimore, which I lived in Baltimore, and then living in York, PA, coming from York, PA.
Yeah,
which is a totally different dynamic, a totally
absolutely.
different way of life. So I think that has a
Absolutely.
lot to do with everything you went through in your experience as well.
I think so. Yeah.
And looking at York, PA today, as it was when you was young coming up in there, what are some of the differences that you see and you understand with the people?
I think that has grown, and I think people in York are woke now. It has
Hmm.
grown. I can remember as a teenager in York, Pennsylvania, maybe 14, 15. I can remember
Hmm.
going into a department store, the Valentine department store. I mean, it's not there anymore. I can remember as a little girl, we went into the store being black. They had these little bells that used to go off, and there's store managers and security who walk around and follow you to make sure you don't steal anything. I remember those
Hmm.
days going into the store and waiting on at Woolworths even, and a grown up person in front of me, like a Caucasian woman or man, and he says, "Excuse me, may I help you?" I'm the kid though, the black kid in the line has to wait until they get done before I get served. I remember those things, you know. It's
Hmm.
so different now. People are friendly in New York, and races mix, and people are just good people in New York now. It's like really different. I love going there because everybody is
Hmm.
so friendly and they have things going on now. York has built up so much. It is an awesome place to visit. People should visit York, Pennsylvania, and York County because they got it
Hmm.
going on. I love going there. Now, do I want to move back there? Well, I couldn't do that because all of my children, most of them are down here, and my
Your
grands are down
roots.
here. Yeah,
Hmm. Your,
yeah.
your new generation of roots.
Been here so many years. Absolutely. I have a son, Kevin, in Pennsylvania, and I'm in touch with him a lot. So, and plus with
Hmm.
social media, you can FaceTime. You don't miss each other that much anymore. But I love
Hmm.
you. Yep. York's
What
important.
about what about Baltimore? Take us into Baltimore from when you first went there to
When I
today.
first went there, I was in high school, and I was already a teen mom, so I already had children. And I followed my mother there, you know. And I
Hmm.
went to school, and it was a struggle. I went to school there, 11th and 12th, because I finished York High 10th grade in York, Pennsylvania. Then I went there, I
Hmm.
already had children. I had to come out a year because I had two children and didn't have a
Hmm.
sitter. So I followed my mom, and that's where I met my godmother. She became my godmother because my mom had to sign over paperwork to her to be my guardian. Once my mother left Baltimore City, I couldn't be there without a parent. So they did the paperwork, and they became besties until the day they died. They were besties. And so she signed
Hmm.
over for me to stay with her along with my children. You know, so it was difficult getting through here, but without Bernice Owens, I wouldn't have made it through school because I got pregnant for the third time. I'm still in high school now, and I got a baby in my stomach, and I got to
Hmm.
get out of high school. And she was there for me, and she said, and I remember when I found out I was pregnant in school, I cried because I figured she would send me back to York. And when I told her about it, actually the nurse gave me this note for her. I told her about it. She said, "Well, do you want to go back to York?" I said, "No." She said, "You want to stay here and go to school?" I said, "I do." She said, "Then you're not going anywhere. You're going to be right here." She was a
Hmm.
nurse too. I told you, and she said, "I'm going to support you, and I'm going to get you through school." And I did do that, and that was a most joyous day because my mom had 7 children, and I'm the only one who graduated traditional high school. That was her dream for us to finish high school, and that was my
Hmm.
goal. If I didn't do that, I didn't care if I had 10 kids. I was going to get a high school diploma, and that came something in my family from my kids. No one in this house is going to not have a high school diploma. I made that happen,
Hmm.
and they did it. So like, you have to get some things to break those cycles. You got to break those cycles. So all my grands graduated high school. Got great grands coming along now. You got to get it in their head. We don't do the dropout thing. We finished.
Yes.
Yeah. Baltimore
Yes.
was a pivotal point for me to get through school and everything, and then think about college later. It took a while, but I did it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
That's very big. That's very big. And did Jens have other family living in Baltimore at the time Jens moved to Baltimore,
No,
or it was just Jens? Jens ain't know
just
nobody.
my mom went there with her boyfriend, and she met Miss Bernice. We called her Miss Bernice, and then they became friends. My mom stayed for a while, and she decided she didn't like it. She went back to York, and I stayed. But while I was in Baltimore too, I had other siblings there with my mother too. But my mom left, they left too, but I stayed. I was
Hmm.
determined to finish school.
And
So,
you did. You done a
and
great job because you became a nurse. So that took more levels of education that you had to go through, and
I
and
did.
I
Yeah.
and I think by you accomplishing that, your kids see you working doing that,
Yeah,
that should be a motivation for them to continue in mom's footsteps. Mom,
absolutely.
mom did this. I can do this.
Yep, they are. They're all workers. They're all doing good.
That's big. That's big. You
Hmm.
know, and this is a very important topic, and we don't want it. We want people to go out to purchase these books and read them because there's a lot of information in these books. It's three. It's three. There's three books to this one story, and here it is, 480 Codorus Street. You know, and it's very big, surviving unpredictability, which is very big, and today even more. You know, so you want to go out and get these books, and you want to read them, and even your daughters and your sons and everybody to
Yeah,
read these books to get them, you know, because it's very important. You know, these are things that are important to
yeah.
our community, to our family, and to education. These books could be in your local library. You want to get in there
Ah,
and you want.
I
That's a
got a
good
book.
question.
I got a book in the local library in York, Pennsylvania. My books are
Okay.
in the library.
See,
Ha,
that's big. So you got
big.
somebody to fall back on to hit them in there because the local library, where people can't afford to buy the books, they can go to the library,
Check it out.
take them home with them. There's no more library fines. Take them
Mhm.
home, read, complete them, and then return them back so somebody else can get that information and it be
Exactly.
shared with other people. These
Yeah.
are very important topics in our community. These are very big topics in the hip hop community, especially. You know, how does that make you feel that your books is reaching the generation of what we discussed about the hip hop community and all the different
I think
groups
it's
of
great.
people?
I got grandkids those came out. I then when I first started hearing hip hop. I guess it was like 79, 80 or so. We were living on Andrews Air Force Base. I remember
Yes,
all the news people come up and say, "Oh, it's just a phase. Hip hop will go away." Look at it now. That's what they thought.
hip hop's not
Yeah,
going any place. It's
yeah,
here to stay.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and that's the
It's a
big
culture.
thing. That
Yeah,
culture is here, so people are going to tap into these. They're going to grow in
absolutely.
these, and
Yeah,
they're going to see this as information that should be shared with their kids and their
and
family.
yeah, and
You
everything
know,
doesn't change that much because look at all the young groups now are singing all the old songs that we used to see. Diamond in the back, sun rooftop,
that's
digging in
right.
the stream with a gangster lean. And you got them singing them young songs. My grandson came over, Joshua, and he was playing that song one summer. And I
Hmm.
started singing it. He said, Grandma, you know that song? I said, that's my song. So they're doing
Yeah,
all our songs over in their hip hops and everything else. The cultures are all mixed up in there and crossed over. So we're
yeah,
still there. They still got it.
yep, and that's very important. You know,
You know, it crosses that.
mhm.
Absolutely.
That's very
Yeah.
important because you take those songs from back in the day, and people are. I do it with my music production. You know, you tap. You know, you sit
Yeah.
there and you put it in there and you mix it down, and then you take a part of that and make it your own,
Yeah. That's
which
what
is
they
hip
do.
hop. You know,
Yeah.
and that's big. So that's music transcending all these generations, just like the information and the stories of your books you put out.
Yeah.
That's three books. That's a
Yeah.
lot of work, you
It's
know.
a lot
And
of work.
a lot of people, I don't think there are some people that set out to say I'm going to do it, and they don't complete one
Yeah.
because of that. So you here knocked out three for this one, and there's another book, a
Yeah.
fourth book that we're going to save that for another show, and we're going
Okay.
to have you back, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to tap
Okay.
into that, you
Thank
know,
you.
and everything else because what you do is very important to the community, to the hip hop community, to the African American community, and to all men and women on this planet
Yes.
because it's reaching
Yes.
everybody with your experience and the stories that you have to put out there. You
Doing my
know, and
best.
that's very important. Is there anyone you want to shout out, or you want to let people know where they can purchase your books again, just so we don't miss
Sure.
anything?
A shout out to my husband, Aaron Stockton, and my children, Kimmy, Kevin, and Carmen Trina, and all my grands and great grands who are always looking out for me and supporting me. I love them all. You can get all of my books and talk to me, communicate with me through my website. My website is on the screen. It is my name in small letters, www.SandraL.Kearse-Stockton.com. I will definitely communicate with you. Reach out. I'm here. Thank you.
That's big. You know, that's very big that you come through and spend a little time with us talking about these great books that will
Thank you.
help people grow within their community and their life and their children's lives. You know, that's very important. Thank you for coming through. You know, a lot of love
Thank you
and
for
heart for
inviting
you
me.
and the family. And we're going to have you back too. Don't worry. We're going to have you back for
Okay.
the fourth book
Looking forward to it.
whenever you're ready. And we're going to come back and we're going to take it to another
Okay.
level in the novels that
All right.
were brought to us by Sandra L. Kearse-Stockton. Very big.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
through. And we're
Thank you.
definitely going to see you here shortly.
I appreciate it. I'm grateful.
iHipHopTV Conversations. This your man P Stock. Tap in, hit all of the YouTubes, the Facebook, the X or Twitter. You know, even though we don't like that man, but you know, if we can get our stuff in it, you can get it. You know, he's doing some things, and definitely tap in. You know, these are very important books and informative to our community. You know, and until the next time, peace, love, and happiness, everybody. You know, peace and blessings. Let's make it happen. Peace.
Peace.